This changes everything you thought you knew about corruption, racism, and justice. What no one tells you about massive corruption is this: it doesn't always wear a uniform, it doesn't always steal money, and it doesn't always come from the people you're told to fear. Sometimes, corruption speaks loudly about justice, while practicing injustice in silence. Today we expose a truth many try to avoid. Those who constantly accuse others often reveal what lies within them. This isn't a random occurrence. There's a law behind this. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share is important. Most people misunderstand this, but corruption begins in the mind. They think it starts with stolen money or broken laws. But real corruption begins internally, with assumptions, false narratives, and moral shortcuts. When a person repeatedly labels others as racist, immoral, or unjust without any truth, they are often projecting what they themselves are wrestling with. Projection is not accidental. It is both psychological and spiritual. Universal justice, the unseen law of cause and effect, records our intent, not just our actions. Every false accusation carries weight. Every biased assumption creates a spiritual echo. Ask yourself this: why does this pattern repeat itself over and over in society? Why do the loudest accusers often have the most to hide? It's because the corruption they see everywhere else is a reflection of what they carry inside. This isn't just a theory, it's a fundamental principle of how moral accountability works. The mind is the battlefield where the first seeds of injustice are sown. Before a hand can act, the heart has already decided. And that decision, that intent, is where true judgment begins. The world shows you the action, but universal justice sees the origin. What's missing from the conversation is that projection is evidence. This was kept quiet for a reason. When an act of corruption cannot be justified, it deflects. When a person's guilt cannot be faced, it accuses. Projection isn't a sign of strength. It's an act of exposure. It's a confession disguised as an accusation. Those who constantly try to divide people by race, by status, or by identity, are often revealing the unresolved prejudice festering within themselves. They create external enemies to avoid fighting their internal demons. Here is the truth that many don't discussed. Universal justice treats false accusations as a serious wrongdoing. You were never told this part, were you? That your words are actions in the unseen realm. Nothing goes unnoticed. Every word spoken with malice, every label used to dehumanize someone, is recorded somewhere. It doesn't just vanish into thin air. It creates a debt that must be settled. The universe keeps a perfect ledger, and on that ledger, pointing a finger at an innocent person is a transgression that will eventually demand balance. It's a subtle form of corruption that poisons society from the inside out, turning people against each other based on lies. But the truth always has a way of coming to the surface. Justice doesn't always look like you expect it to. You might feel the system failed, but that doesn't mean justice failed. Earthly justice often depends on power, popularity, and timing. It can be manipulated. But universal justice depends only on truth, balance, and order. It is impartial and absolute. When corruption is protected by institutions, when powerful people shield each other from accountability, justice simply bypasses the institution entirely. It finds another way. Here's what happens after wrongdoing goes unanswered in the visible world. Loss replaces influence, confusion replaces certainty, and public exposure replaces private control. This isn't just a theory, it's an observable pattern. Look at the figures who seemed untouchable, who built empires on deceit. Sooner or later, their world begins to crumble. Not always through a court of law, but through a series of unfortunate events that restore balance. Their influence wanes, their credibility shatters, and they are left isolated. Justice doesn't disappear when a human system fails to deliver it. It just transforms. It moves from the courtroom to the fabric of reality itself, ensuring that no account goes unsettled. Here is the truth they don't want discussed. Discrimination is against God. Every single person is created in the image and likeness of God. This one truth changes everything. When you diminish another human being, when you falsely label them, accuse them, or dehumanize them based on their appearance or background, you are not just attacking a person. You are violating a divine order. Discrimination against someone's race, culture, or identity is, at its core, discrimination against the Creator himself. This matters far more than you think. Universal justice does not separate spiritual wrongdoing from social behavior. It sees the whole picture. It understands that an attack on the creation is an attack on the Creator. This is why ideologies that promote division and prejudice ultimately fail. They are fighting against the very structure of reality. True peace doesn't come from pretending these spiritual laws don't exist. It comes from acknowledging the divine spark in every single person and treating them with the dignity they deserve. When you understand this, you realize that justice is not just a social concept. It's a sacred principle woven into the universe. And now, the verdict. This is only the beginning. Here's the part most people miss. Universal justice is patient, but it is incredibly precise. It allows for a period of exposure before the final consequence. It offers a chance for reflection before it enacts correction. It gives the wrongdoer enough rope to either change their course or hang themselves. If this keeps happening to you, if you are constantly being falsely accused, misjudged, or silenced, you are not imagining it. There's a reason this pattern continues to affect you. You are on the receiving end of someone else's projection. And for those who project their own corruption, their own racism, or their own injustice onto others, understand that justice doesn't forget. It waits, it watches, it records. The end of the story matters most. The final accounting is what defines a legacy. If this message resonated with you, subscribe to Time for Justice, because justice doesn't disappear, it transforms. And this is only the beginning.